Hello, my astrology family. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and we continue the Astrology 2021 marathon. Today, I'm here with astrologer Donny. Hello, Donny.
Hi, Lada. It's
Welcome.
been a while.
Yeah, people loved your first video about the Venus star point, and today you're going to talk about the overall energies of 2021, how you interpret them. Plus, you're going to focus on the second part of this video on the sign Taurus in particular, how it will affect people born under the rising sign of Taurus, moon in Taurus or sun in Taurus the next year. I think they would have it quite interesting. But let's start with the year, the overall
Yeah.
year. What do you have for us?
Well, I think it's best that I can share my screen. It'll be great if I can do that.
Yes, it's
I
underneath.
think it'll be pretty. I guess a picture says 1,000 words or million words in this case.
Do you see that? Yes, I'm starting to see the. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So what I'm displaying right now is the chart of actually the inauguration date for the US of A,
Oh,
where the sun actually hits 0 degree Aquarius. Why I want to like bring all of the audience um, to this part of the year as we start off like 2021 for the month of January is because we have a pile up of planets in the sign of Aquarius, and I would think that January 2021 is really about that conflict like we've never seen. Like it becomes so divided that um, like everyone is so polarized, and if you're not with me means you're against me. This is kind of energy that goes along with it. And for the month of January, actually, I would say January 11th to 28th will be the most intense, because there's like a what I call a compression of energy, where there's a lot of planets, including the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, of course, that's all in Aquarius.
mhm.
That's different from like the 2020 energy of Capricorn. Now we shifted to Aquarius, but then we've got Mars coming out finally from Aries.
Mhm.
And the first aspect that it makes is that conjunction with Uranus.
A square with Saturn first, and then conjunction.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I call this as a compression period or a feature as we start off the year with a bang, you know, that crowded house effect, I would say. And if you actually see the chart, um, most of the planets are squeezed from the sign of Capricorn to Taurus, which is a tight 5 sign of
Mhm.
the zodiac. Like everything is squished together. So there's a concentration of energies there.
Mhm.
So tension will definitely be there. So the second week of January actually starts off with Mercury in Aquarius square Mars,
Mhm.
and then it conjunct Saturn, and then Jupiter, and then that Mercury will start squaring Uranus. And then um, the Mars Saturn will actually last for about 2 weeks, all the way up to end of January. And this is also when Uranus also stationed direct in January of 2021. So this kind of indicates to me that pertaining to January 2021, it indicates major changes for the world, and they are like setting a new tide associated with that new quality of being. And there's also a quality of rendering the old patterns obsolete as we move forward and progress. This also tells me that there's almost like a shift in the paradigm of humanity's direction from the soon to be collapsing old capitalistic structures and systems that's been sustaining us for the past 200 over years since the Industrial Revolution.
And that
where
started with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions in the Earth signs for the last
yeah,
250 years.
they
And that
actually started the Industrial Revolution. I think the first conjunction in Earth. So
that's when we mastered the Earth over the last 250 years of Saturn
yeah,
conjunction and Earth. That's the good side. We built those beautiful bridges and buildings and machines, and we know we're kind of we understood the mysteries of nature, the mechanical laws of Newton, and all of that, how to master that nature around us. But also, they brought this consciousness of materialism very strongly, because the earth signs of possession and owning, and especially the last 20 years after Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Taurus, that was like the biggest material, like consumerism. And of course, those signs, the earth signs, have their beautiful sides, but it's shifting now. It's starting 250 years of air signs from this year. How do you
and
feel
if
the energy of the air signs? How do you,
well,
especially
basically I see the elements like when I see air, I see horizontal, so it's this way out. So it's that connective energy. And this is like it's different from Earth, which is very much like the compressive energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we thought about Earth, we think of diamonds, or
Yeah.
that's at least what I think of. Uh, and it's got compressive energy, and now we are moving like it's a horizontal outwards energy in terms of air signs. So it's very connective. Things will move super fast. And and if you just do one thing, it just horizontally just spreads, right? Just like that outwards. Yeah. Yeah, it's not that compressive like kind of energy whereby you just kind of like concentrate the energy. There's this concentrative quality when it comes to Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very,
So the
very.
outreach will be there. So you just like that's why air rules ideas, and ideas is just kind of like turn to your left, turn to your right, and then it just kind of spread.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
I
that
think now
energy.
all there were a lot of discoveries in the last 100-200 years, actually, that were ahead of their times for free energy of that you get out of the air and stuff, but they've been suppressed and they've been controlled. I think they're going to explode now. And you said with the air energies, especially Aquarius, is about this. It's about spreading information and knowledge. So all those technologies will come out, and they won't be able to suppress them anymore. And I believe that by the end of those 20 years, we're all going to have not to pay for electricity. We'll all have access to free resources. Yes, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's the energy of Aquarius. Aquarius gives, like you said, it spreads, it gives. The earth signs, they
It's like that, yeah.
pile and gather. So we've been till now like corporations with the biggest money, the ones with the most toys wins, and they
And
concentrate power and
this is
all
also with
the,
money and wealth, like it's very concentrated.
yes, in
Yeah.
100 people own half of the all the money in the world. That's very earth-like. Of course, it should have been like that, I guess. That was God's will. We had to pass through that phase, but it's ending. I'm not saying that 2021 immediately you'll see this ending, but this is the
Oh
start.
no, actually, I have the Jupiter Saturn conjunction that's going to happen on December 21st. I found something interesting 4 years later that's going to blow your mind, perhaps.
Tell us.
Yeah. But can I just kind of like go through like January's energy? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So the moon, as you can see, is approaching also to conjunct Mars and Uranus, and it's in this mix. So I would say like collectively, because moon paints the mood, right? Like on a mundane collective level. So the mood is almost like there's an eruption of a very difficult period. And like you've got like those fixed signs in dynamic conflict. And I think when I actually look at squares, fixed squares are probably the most um it gives the most kind of tension because both sides are just not willing to budge.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And I would like to bring your attention to that Pluto as well, because all throughout January of 2021, right? Pluto is around 25 degrees and is reactivating actually two of the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction of 2020 in terms of degree.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that has been launched or expanded in early April and end of June 2020, this will play kind of like a major part in the profound changes when it comes to January of 2021. I've actually did some digging, and also like I have like, just talked to many people. Jupiter Pluto conjunction in 2020 so far, we just finished the last one, is actually linked to the rise of virus infection,
Mm-hmm.
or the spike in the numbers in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, this is pertaining to Americas and Europe in
Mm-hmm.
2020. So if you kind of look at the dates where Jupiter Pluto actually conjunct and you see the spike, and if you overlay the numbers of COVID infections over that, you can actually see there's a very tight correlation. And we talk about Jupiter, which is money. Pluto is also money, obscene amounts of money. So we have the most obscene, or history's most obscene wealth redistribution ever over this pandemic. And this actually furthers the or widens the income gap of the haves and the have-nots. And so like I think these two main things that occurred in 2021 will really be the main issue when it comes to January of 2021.
They happen in 2020, but that will be the main issue.
Yeah, it's almost like a highlighter because of that Pluto where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It highlighted the two Jupiter Pluto conjunction points.
Yeah.
In the like 20-ish degrees of Capricorn. So it's like it brings forward that. But now in 2021 we've got Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius. So the question is, where do we move from here?
Mm-hmm. You're right. I never thought possible that the rich could get richer and the poor can get poorer, and it happened in 1 year. This grab of resources, that's the last push of the earth energy, all those planets in Capricorn. Again, I'm not saying Capricorn is a bad sign if you're born with Capricorn. I'm just saying that collectively it tends to play out always to the lower meaning of a sign, because collectively consciousness is a bit lower as a whole, and it's just played out like this, the final desperate attempt for the grabbing of the riches of the earth, but it's starting to move. This air energy is about distribution, like we said, and especially Aquarius is about more equal distribution. I'm not saying that ownership will finish in the next 2 years. It might take 20, 30 years or 2,000 years of Aquarius age till we're out of that, consciousness, but it's starting.
So I would say, in essence, right, January might sound very anarchic, like anarchy, kind of. There's this kind of like we just entered that Aquarian Jupiter Saturn conjunction energy, and there's this kind of acceleration of sorts. But having said that, there's another player in the activation, Mars actually. Mars, of course, we know that we are, Mars currently, as of now, is still in Aries. Like it's all that cardinal square with like, all the three big boys in Capricorn. But when it hits 2021, right, in January, it's in Taurus, so it's involved in a fixed square. But when it actually hits Leo, it's almost like a fixed T square again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So when it comes to April, there's gonna be like a period of extreme conflict. I would say the most difficult months will be like the first, like close to 4 months in 2021, and then it'll just kind of like, we can take a breather.
Mm-hmm.
But till then, it's gonna be that culmination of that craziness or that newness of energy. And when I think about January and April of 2021, because of that Mars, like this is a square, but when Mars goes into Leo, it's a T square, a fixed T square. So
is it gonna be in April that Mars goes in Leo?
Yeah, so it's like it's almost like these 2 months are talking about or at least dominated by a conflict between regressive and progressive.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. And when it comes to April, um, when I look at how the planets move, that's when I think the Aquarian new ideals will come into dynamic expression as the new quality of, as I mentioned earlier, new quality of life that renders old patterns obsolete. That's previously awakened in the summer of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this continuation thing. It's almost like we are just shocked to awaken fast
Mm-hmm.
over the summer of 2020, and now when it comes to April of um, 2021, it's like we can finally have a grip on life to actually move forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this kind of energy that comes with it. But then, of course, because of that square, the year-long square with um, Saturn and Uranus, we'll keep experiencing this kind of on and off stubborn forces of regression that will be in conflict with the new Aquarian themes of healing, vision, also seeing the future clearly, and doing things for the greatest good for the mass majority. So there will be this kind of like tremendous regressive, progressive kind of pressure point or valve because of that square. So honestly, to sum it up, 2020 is like a year of like, if you're open to it, you can actually reap rewards if when you enter 2021, because life actually opens up
Mm-hmm.
a lot more. And like we are also preparing for that new era that was actually initiated back actually when the lockdown first started, at least for here, is April 2020. And this will kind of spring to life in 2021.
Yeah.
So despite the conflicts that may come, um, we are at the threshold of this new like 20-year very Aquarian like era,
Mm-hmm.
and the new 200 over year era where we leave, like as you said, Jupiter Saturn conjunct in Earth sign as we started the Industrial Revolution in the late 1700s, and we entered that stage of a long-term global growth into the air energy, and becoming that best Aquarian qualities and virtues that you can within, we can actually ground. You become that grounding agent for the new era that's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I actually like got. So yeah, so
Thank you. No, that's
this besides January, April, March is also a little bit dodgy. I wouldn't lie. But then like when late April swings by, we can actually like there's this kind of hope that we can actually build something from this.
mm-hmm.
And if we feel that we've been stuck in a rut and for that many years we've been feeling like this system doesn't fit us anymore, we can actually proceed from baby steps because we got that square with Saturn and Uranus. And this kind of brings me to the point of we have a waning square between um, Saturn and Uranus.
Yeah, the whole 2021, it's happening
Yeah,
pretty much
so
down to the end of the year, basically.
yeah, so it's like when I see a waning square between any planetary pairs,
Mm-hmm.
because it's akin to the third quarter moon, kind of energy. So it's got that crisis. It's a crisis phase of dismantling what's not working for us, to actually let it go, to prepare for the upcoming new cycle, which is like Saturn, Uranus conjunction, which will actually take place in late June of 2032. So
Mm.
this means that it's like a period of, when I see 2021 to 2032 is like that final period of dissolution and endings that's preparing for a new wave of whatever comes next.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think you and me are going through midlife crisis. So I would like to point out, like for particular people, for Uranus in Scorpio generation, because I have that as well.
Oh.
In 2021, they're also getting their Uranus opposition. And this is for people particularly born in 1975 to 1978,
Mhm.
to be exact. And Jupiter and Saturn are actually making a T-square to transit um, Uranus in Taurus and the natal Uranus in Scorpio, the
Mhm.
T-square.
Mhm.
So what it's telling me is that people born particularly these few years, it will really push you to make a structural shift.
A structural shift. Yes.
A
Yeah.
structural shift.
Big change.
And that Saturn being at the apex will really make you know what changes you have to make. But at the same time, you're evaluating the cost of it all. Is it worth it to make those changes? There's this push or pull thing. So yeah, there's that. And so where so wherever Taurus is in your chart, um, in this case, I'm covering Taurus rising, so it's in their first house. There's almost like a readiness to break free, and there's much more like dynamic and dramatic changes ahead in 2021. But this actually applies like across the board,
Mm-hmm.
because Uranus is transiting there, and for those who are born middle of February to middle of November of 1988, you're actually born with a Saturn-Uranus conjunction.
In Capricorn, yeah.
Yeah. So this square in the sky that's year long will actually set off your natal Saturn-Uranus conjunction. So it's definitely not a boring year. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So people who are born like this cluster of years are really gonna feel it as much. And I've actually gotten the Saturn-Uranus square exact dates and degree in 2021. And the first one is in February, on the 17th at 7 degrees. They will also form a conjunction at 13 degrees.
Square, you
That
mean?
square, sorry, that square. Saturn-Uranus square will actually be exact at 7 degrees on February 17th, then 13 degrees on June 15th, and lastly 11 degrees on Christmas Eve. So it's really like a yellow square, like from February to December. And then in between, we feel kind of like the fading on and off regarding that. I think it wouldn't be as intense close to Halloween if I recall. Um, but it's still pretty close. It's not exact, but close square. It'll be at 18 degrees from 1st to 12th of October. Again. So yeah, it will be kind of like until the end of 2021, I would say. There's still like structural shifts to be made. And after December 2021, I like when the last uh, exact square is formed between Uranus and Saturn. I think things will kind of settle down a bit and resolve that, because they won't form a square again until 2043. Yeah,
Okay. So
because especially like in 90-degree um, increments between Jupiter and Saturn, on average, it takes like 14 years for that to occur, every 14 years.
yeah.
So let's talk about the mundane and collective stuff when we talk about this square. Um, when I think about Saturn and Uranus square, actually all hard aspects, I also include the conjunction as well, because in mythology, Saturn and Uranus are father and son, and they don't get along.
One ate
They
the
don't get
other.
along.
No, locked up the other.
Yeah, one is the past, one is the future. So you're torn. Now what? You know what I mean? So, but actually, this tension, particularly in 2021, that square is really about, or whenever a square happens, conjunction or even opposition, tangible strides in evolution of our civilization actually take place.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So it's like, but also like on a more personal but collective level, it can also bring about changes that you honestly don't want. So it's like, and it also makes it harder for a person to make the changes that he or she do want. So there's this kind of frust- frustrating times and rising tensions from that sudden expected changes that comes along with it. But I guess on a more psychological level, it does not have to be like that. If you actually stay open-minded, patient, and flexible, um, what at first actually seem to be challenges can be turned into opportunities to actually like rid yourself of negative, restrictive, and limiting beliefs in your life. And I think that's when the notes actually come in, because the notes are exalted in the signs. Like Rahu or North Node is exalted in Gemini, and South Node is exalted in Sagittarius. And so it's like that flexibility is calling us. I think it's that window of opportunity that really is hard to come by. And now it's come in 2021.
Yeah, numerologically, 2021 is the number 5. And I know that in Feng Shui, it's considered the most unpredictable number. So is in numerology, where things are very new, very different, very unpredictable, very exciting, but it's not stable. That's one thing that's for sure. And if you want to thrive to 2021, you should be very flexible, like Donny said.
I think the note basically suggests that, So I think one of the best approaches is to best not to force any change that you want, but to really adapt to changing conditions or situations, and wait to see what areas of life that start causing you problems and deal with that. Because this Saturn-Uranus square is really like, it will make it obvious what areas in your life that's no longer working in your best interest.
It's a closing one. So it's complete.
Yes.
So it's not so much of like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want this change. I'm like, look around,
Dismantling.
Yeah, see what is not working out, and then do those changes that are not working out. Yeah.
It's like changing the wallpapers in the home. Tear down the old ones and put up like, like new ones to kind of make it look nicer and more comfortable for yourself. And having said that, intuition and higher self-awareness during this time may not be working for you. It may be working against you as well. So it's actually best to kind of take notice of the simple, practical things that start making you tense and anxious. And those are the things you really need to zoom in and look even deeper. Like, is that really what I want to move forward? Or should I just dismantle it and just discard it? There's also bringing in the North Node in Gemini, because you get a bit experimental, like things that you haven't really done before. So instead of the common thing to really like, especially cardinal signs, like when I see people with a lot of cardinal signs, they just want to like just constantly just kind of bang their heads against the walls, like, no, I gotta do this, I gotta change this, and like, but it's a fixed square this time. So it's just kind of like, okay, maybe I should stand back and just kind of like look at what I need to discard, and then just kind of, it's almost like you are going through that clearing out of the closet. And then you just kind of stand back, open up the closet door, and see all the clothes there and say, which one should I keep? But don't do it just like impulsively. Maybe you should just kind of like
burn the closet.
Oh, no. Actually, you know what? I see a beauty with this square, which I'll touch on later, which I think it will help to recycle those things that you want to throw away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, but going back to this square is really not the time to resist change, but it's also not the time to overreact.
Okay.
So I think the best thing I can come up with is that a well-considered, methodical, patient, and a step-by-step approach will be best at this time. Having said that, commitment and responsibility might be issues that causes stress in relationships and also in anyone's career, really. So I would say over this period of time, people may also come to realize that certain bad habits or outdated beliefs that they have are actually blocking their overall progress, and it will all shine a light based on that. So, like, because of the fixed energy, it's time to just kind of, when things happen, just sit on it for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and let it marinate in the mind, and just kind of like find, is there a way, can I wiggle my way out? And that's where you kind of, as you wiggle, you kind of change whatever, you actually make a structural shift
Mm-hmm.
along the way. So since it's a square, right, it can be it can be particularly a challenging time if you rely on creative breakthroughs and also intuitive insights for your work. So if you lack inspiration or face a creative block, maybe it's time to take a new approach to your work, try a new technique,
Mm-hmm.
or a change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, personal freedoms and rights might be restricted because it's based on that Jupiter also in Aquarius. Because if you talk about dignity, Saturn is stronger than Jupiter, and Jupiter expands Saturnian restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've got this. So if your duties and responsibilities become too oppressive, it is better to make adjustments now before they crystallize as new structures in your life. This is the best time to do it. This waning square.
Awesome. Thank you.
And this one also talks about if you just kind of work consistently and slowly, you can actually manifest creative and inventive ideas into concrete, substantial achievements.
Beautiful. Yeah, Uranus, the
Yeah.
inventive, creative ideas. But you have to go
And
slow. Like there is changes to be done, but go them methodically. Check out the rules and orders. Type of. It's a bit of a stop and start energy. Stop, start, but like keep pushing slowly.
and then like you can give like last but not least give form and structure to our uniqueness in a productive way to harness the inner tension within us into a passion, something of that nature as well. I've also looked at the more, what can this bring us, this waning square? It can bring new skills, new sources of income. People may start new dietary plans because that Uranus is in the sign of food, Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
Physical upkeep. Also new concepts of fixed assets because it's a fixed square.
Mm-hmm.
And this also talks about the necessary and compulsory evolution in technology, social media, automation in whatever industry that you are working in currently. It also introduces a new way to network. New food supply chains is what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly vertical, because anything that's Aquarius is vertical. Vertical integration of existing food supply chains. And pooling resources as well. Because fixed, right, it likes to gather stuff. It's got that concentrative energy as well. So one of the things I came up with, like as we mentioned earlier, I think the shared or pre-loved item economy might actually take off more over this time.
Sorry,
So don't throw away. Again?
Sorry? Economy?
Like the shared and pre-loved item economy will actually take off. It's like used clothing that you want to discard.
Okay.
And furniture. There may be swapping parties going on. Like organize those kind of like maybe for you, your household, you've got like certain items that you want to give away, but it's too wasteful. Like you want to really recycle those and want to move away from the, buy and throw kind of like crazy consumerism we've been living when Jupiter Saturn was in Earth where they conjunct. Why not kind of like, you know, be it on Facebook or other, social media, you can just kind of come together, people, and like, oh, you've got this clothing, can I swap with you one for one? And you can just kind of, oh, I like this, you like this, and then we just swap.
Mhm.
And this can go for like many other things like furniture, all this kind of events I think will get more popular.
Absolutely.
And also because like we're talking about Uranus involved in this square, so I really hope for the return of the artisan,
Of the
like
what?
handmade item, the artisan,
Art.
like people who make limited edition,
Yeah.
one-off, like small quantity of unique items. Like
Mhm.
maybe I'm just a sucker for that, but I love that, my piece is unique and it's not found anywhere. And even I feel that because uh that Saturn in Aquarius is also about, there's a part of that's about repairing as well, restoring. So perhaps like the item restoration, I hope it comes back. Like if you have that old bag that's like with a hole
Mhm.
and compartments are like really dirty, and you
Mhm.
just bring to someone to completely restore it to new,
Mhm.
it's almost like you cherish that because like that thing.
Oh yeah, because Saturn is old, Aquarius is new, so bringing something old, making it new, type of thing.
Yeah. So it's just restoring that and kind of give it like a new skin to make it brand new. And you don't have to like splurge to buy a completely new one. I
Yeah.
really hope, honestly, with this square is really the dismantling of the crazy like buy and throw culture that we have in terms of consumerism.
Oh, it is. That's for sure.
And I
That.
really hope that I'm really against fast fashion. I don't buy fast fashion at all for that reason. And because it's very exploitative what goes on behind the scenes with that, so I
Mhm.
don't support them. I hope there's some kind of massive overhaul regarding that
There
part
is
of the
a big
sector.
shift that will happen in the consciousness of people regarding resources, the distribution, anything that we utilize, and that's the Taurus Uranus energy. And yeah,
and
for sure.
and also Uranus as a planet, and the other one is like Saturn in a sign of Aquarius, so circulation, there's a lot of circulation going around.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Circulation of all things Saturn, you know what I mean. And Taurus pre-loved, it was mine before, you know what I mean. So
Would there be circulation of partners? Pre-loved partners?
no comment. But then when I also see this waning square, is also cybersecurity might be, the importance of cybersecurity might go immensely up as well.
You're right. Saturn-Security, Uranus, Aquarius, cyber. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
because I actually went back to see where is the last conjunction in 1988
Mhm.
and what actually happened over that year when Uranus and Saturn did form that conjunction. And the internet worm or virus, or the first computer virus, was uncovered.
Wow.
So
So
when I
that
see,
triggered the start of the cycle, triggered the first cyber terrorism, basically viruses.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now there
yeah,
might be such crisis as well that we are during the square, something very connected to cybersecurity, something big can happen as a closing square, definitely.
and 1988, let's not forget the birth of the EU and Euro.
Yes, the fall of communism.
So maybe Euro will be a hot topic in 2021, whether like which direction shall it go?
Oh,
And also the fate of the EU as well.
I do think the EU might collapse in its current shape and be redone in a different shape. So that's the
Mm.
closing square of when the European Union was created at the initial conjunction. So big critical solutions there and changes. And for the Euro and for the EU, amazing. Thank you. I have not.
And 1988 is also where the WHO came into focus at the time with the eradication of polio.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like with this waning square, the same organization will be in focus,
Mm-hmm.
a lot in focus in 2021 as well, due to whatever that's going on for this whole year. This whole year has been surreal. I'm ready to say goodbye to it. It's like a dream, the Twilight Zone. So also, in 1988, NASA scientists have testified for the first time to US Senate that man-made global warming has begun.
So there will be critical steps towards the global, the climate changes.
Yeah. And 1988, that's also when abortion drugs were launched. And it was opposed, though, in line with the ideology of sexual freedom with that as well. So maybe like Planned Parenthood could be another hot topic.
What was launched in 88?
Abortion drugs were launched.
Abortion drug. Oh,
Yeah.
the pill, the after thing.
Yeah, the after morning pill.
Yeah. Oh,
so that might be like what women want to do with their bodies that might actually be coming back into the picture for discussion. Maybe there's like back and forth. It's like my body, I do what I want.
Yeah. Oh, so they're resurrecting for those themes are coming hot topics because they were initiated when the first Saturn, in this cycle, the first time Saturn and Uranus joined themselves, and now they're at the final closing square, which means either such structures starting to fall apart, or they have to change their direction, or there's like a bringing up of them again, and they'll have, I guess, 8-9 years until they join before
14 years, 2032.
Okay,
yeah.
they join.
Also 12 years, yeah.
Yeah, 11-12 years. Yeah, okay.
And last but not least, the topic of gun control. That's what I got as well. Those will be basically those that I mentioned that started off in 1988, what was seeded.
Mm-hmm.
These topics actually essentially, what are those topics about? It clearly serves as dividing forces in society, and these will play out. So if you somehow can match these two conflicting forces, you will win the day in 2021, but I honestly doubt so. Honestly. But last but not least, these topics that I just mentioned are important discussions for society as a whole, because it can kind of catalyze radical change, and it forms that natural disruption to the status quo. Mm-hmm. So it's very much needed. And at this point, it's really about, after we've gone through this square, then we'll kind of dismantle whatever that needs to be done in preparation for the coming conjunction in 2032.
And it's going to be in Gemini, the one in 2030?
I have not checked that part. I apologize. It's like 2032, but it's in middle of June. So no, I think it's in Cancer.
Oh, Cancer.
Yeah,
wow, interesting.
Well, the end of Gemini. No, I think it's the end of Gemini. The end of Gemini. Yeah, I think it's on one of the fixed stars of the twins. Was it? No, was it?
Might be in Gemini, yeah.
Yeah, in late Gemini, yeah, because now there's still a few more years to the end of Uranus and Taurus. So I must say that despite all that I've mentioned, you must see the light, the positive side of it. It's a disruptive square, but it also can be very creative. Mm-hmm. The square actually stops life from becoming too static and stagnant by awakening new ideas and possibilities. And when I see this square, it actually not only square, but conjunction and opposition as well. It triggers a crisis in consciousness that shatters people's previous perspective and forces people to find that new way forward, which I find very important.
This is beautiful. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, no one likes things to change, but it's necessary.
So in essence, it's really forced growth and change. and resistance will be futile or useless. But having said that, I need to have a disclaimer. It doesn't mean all changes are good.
You're right.
Like if you embrace change for the sake of change, it means nothing really, because it's superficial in many ways. And if the old order remains unaffected, you're just storing up problems and issues for the next time when that square conjunction opposition swings by. I think it's really important to recognize the difference between old structures that are good and useful and necessary, and those that are repressive or worn out. Because if you don't kind of classify that, you could end up getting rid of things that you need.
They have a saying, throwing out the baby with the water, basically.
Yeah. And when I see this, it can be one of the possible manifestations can be throwing away our civil liberties in the process, if we just kind of become complicit in the process. So people who are listening to this, you know what to do. Like when it's time to kind of speak up, you really need to and not be complicit in the process.
Oh, people will be speaking up with all this Aquarius energy.
Well, and North Node in Gemini.
Yes.
North Node in Gemini. And although it's unpredictable, but then in the end, it's really getting us prepared for the big one, which is the new conjunction. I think I recall the next Uranus-Saturn conjunction will be in late Gemini.
In late
degrees.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be on my midheaven.
Ooh.
I don't know what I'll be doing then.
Dictator of the astrology world.
If I have your blessings, why not? So, last but not least, we are at that critical tipping point that can go either way. Because it's a waning square, we're kind of like dismantling stuff and getting rid of stuff. So really take note, even in your personal life, not all change is good, and you just have to just analyze the kind of changes and the quality of it is is it for the long-term good for yourself, and not just kind of change and just change for the sake of it. I think that's my point.
Thank you.
There's also one thing I want to let people know is that one thing that came to my mind when I see this waning square is the progressive tightening grip on us, humanity, as a whole, using technological control as a form of a grid that serves to enslave and destroy us as a whole race.
That's there for sure.
And the choice is really for us to make, really. And I think I mentioned earlier that Jupiter-Saturn conjunct in 0 Aquarius. 4 years later, I think it's on 7th of December, 2024, we actually have Pluto ingressing into 0 Aquarius, but then Venus actually meets up with Pluto.
Wow, yeah.
And also Ceres. You know what the story is about?
Ceres?
Like Ceres, Venus, and Pluto, they're actually telling a story in mythology. Hades, Persephone, and Demeter.
Oh my God, the rape and the taking her Persephone into the underworld.
Yes, and so Ceres is representing Demeter, the mother. Venus is the daughter who was abducted by Hades, Pluto, and this all forms a conjunction, re-triggering that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction 4 years later on 7th of December 2024.
Oh, what is that?
So it could be like I've written a few things here to just kind of, because it really talks about that myth. So I wonder if there's going to be even more like ecological nuclear energy protests, because Aquarius is really about nuclear energy. And could it be the rape, abduction, or the mourning for the loss? This comes from Ceres. of our freedom from the New World Order that's upon us.
Wow.
So I want people to kind of look at this and kind of like, the choice is in our hands now. And we have like less than 4 years when 7th of December 2024 hits.
Yeah,
I know it's a heavy one.
no, but hopefully that to be the awakening period, and where people say something has to be done, because people have been pretty complacent for the past 100 years, I'd say, with their freedoms. And especially the last, I don't know, at least my memory, the last 20 years. So it's, yeah, time to wake up to that.
Or it could be even Mother Nature that's revolting against humanity by giving us more natural disasters.
Mm.
It could be that as well. But Pluto is also oil. So I wonder if there's any massive oil rig disasters that really would form the paradigm of shift in how we utilize energy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Maybe like wind energy, solar energy, that's when,
Yeah.
because of some massive disaster that goes on with it.
Yeah, Pluto, hopefully at least just actually by law changing from oil into other types of energy resources.
Because the transit sextile between Neptune and Pluto that has been going around for like a long, long time was when there's oil and gas exploration. And I think this will come to an end in 2030.
So by then, fossil oils
Or
will be
natural gas. Yeah.
natural gas. That will be the end of using them. So
Hopefully, because
yeah.
I think this will be really like the turning time. So we are in for very interesting times. And I just want to let the viewer know, even those who are not Taurus rising, by the way, if you watch my video, that if you see this part really is talking about, we really need to stick up for ourselves. As a whole, we got to see past the differences and really see what's common between us, because we are all just kind of inhabiting on this earth anyways.
It's like the rape of the collective freedom.
Exactly. And this could be like,
will be like, what happened? It's like, can we come out of Hades's underground?
because we can imagine a better future and attempt to work to make it real. But if we just kind of think and not do, kind of defeats the purpose, right? And now we've kind of passed, we've like just passed I would say this year is really about the Great Awakening. Mm-hmm. The world is like, has been talking about for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And the choice that we make as a whole, collective, Aquarius, do we want to kind of like, want to really be Persephone?
Do we want to really be Persephone?
And, be all the really the top 1% will be Hades, right? Adopting the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And who's going to cry for us? Our hearts. We're going to be crying.
Mm. Thank you. It made me think. What a brilliant presentation, Donny. So insightful.
Because this is really like the turning point of.
Move on though fast, because we have 15 minutes. I don't know if we can cover everything in that time.
Oh, okay. I'm actually like I want to just quickly cover that because I use Venus star point also in mundane astrology. So we actually have a switch from a Gemini Venus star point that started on 4th of June 2020. And on 26th of March 2021, we actually have a alignment of the Earth, Venus, and the Sun at 5 degrees 50 of Aries that will weave in this Venus star point that will last for a good 9.5 months, all the way up till Venus turns retrograde, and will conjunct the Sun, I think, in early 2022. So this energy will stick for about 9.5 months, starting from 26th of March onwards to 9th of January 2022. So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I look at is what is ruling or what is close by that Venus star point. It's Chiron.
Okay.
And Chiron is really highlighting that in 2021, our desires are really about healing and health awareness, compassion, kindness, and awareness of our own sufferings. Because the Venus star point is close to Chiron here in Aries, and the ruler of Aries is Mars, which conjunct the North Node, by the way, close to exact.
Yeah.
And Mars is also out of bound. So it's a wild Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That's very Gemini-like, but it takes it to the extreme. And so people are so much more vocalizing what they really, really think.
Uh,
And it's conjunct North Node, it's really even more more
Amplified.
amplified. And I've written some of the possible manifestations of it because
Yeah.
Mars is ruled by Mercury and then is conjunct Neptune squaring it. And this one will be active all the way from late March all the way up to January 2021. So I've actually written down on a more funny level, I have said there'll be more Karens and Allens on the streets. That
Oh,
means self-entitled people.
okay. Okay. I never heard what this was about. This whole.
Or like self-entitled people who don't want to wear masks and go to shops and just create a scene. And I want to call the manager. I want to see the manager, and their video got recorded, uploaded onto YouTube or Facebook.
Okay.
Or like their bad behavior. Like the female is called Karens. The male version I just discovered is called Allens. So I find it very
I'm
funny.
definitely gonna be one of those people.
Like there's this self-entitlement stuff because they're so delusional or in their dream world that they are just shooting outwards that it's going to be captured on video. Gemini.
Wow.
It's going to be posted on social media and shamed. But having said that, another one can be like when I think about Pisces, it's both mutable signs. It's got a lot of anxious, nervous energy. So in 2021, we're still having that. And just beware of what you actually read on social media, the newspaper, and on television as well. What actually comes out. There will be a lot of talks about vaccine as well. News about vaccine, which is very much Neptune and Mercury. And I think that with whatever configuration, if I pull in all this energy, it talks about letting the healthcare workers take it first as guinea pigs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
They
people
will have to make healthcare work. They will make healthcare workers take it first.
But there'll be still, because Mars and Neptune, right? Smoke and mirrors regarding information, like the whole vaccine efficiency thing is still dubious or very questionable.
Well, it's
because
not a vaccine, it's a genetic engineering, basically, the vaccine that they're offering. It's I don't know, might be for good, but I'm very reserved.
Yes, and so all this pulls that energy in. If I were to just go by rulership and just paint a cohesive picture, and then by rulership I stop at Neptune, which is in its own sign. It's all about pharmaceutical things.
So they're
as you
pulling
can
the
see,
strings of this whole thing.
Yeah, so from this will kick in late March, and this will be all throughout 2021. By the way, when this Venus star point is active at 5. So anything for people who have 5 degree 50 of the cardinal signs, you activate your natal chart somehow. Yeah. And you got to see the planetary energy and just it may actually tell you what may manifest in the 9.5 months in this period. Okay, so let's go to Taurus rising, which is
finally, yes.
which is a Venus root sign. It's my moon sign, hence I'm a bit biased.
Oh, moon sign?
Yeah, it's my moon sign.
It's my husband's moon sign too. I love
Yeah.
Taurus most people. They're so
So
they're slow a bit for me. Not mentally, they just move slowly for me. I'm always like, come on,
oh
come on,
no,
come on.
my quickens quite a bit because it's squared by some planets in Leo.
Oh.
So yeah,
It's still
mine is
quick,
a bit quicker.
but I love the calmness. It's
So let's start off with the what should I start off with for Taurus rising? How about I start off with the okay. There's a 10-week period in 2021 when Jupiter actually ingress into Pisces, which is right here by whole sign house system. And if I were to use using whole sign house system, harmonically, what does transit Jupiter and Saturn both trigger for a Taurus? For that 10 weeks starting from middle of May all the way up till end of July, it will trigger for Taurus rising the sign of Scorpio, which is their seventh house.
love. Relationships. Sorry.
Drama, Scorpio.
Drama.
Drama, crisis, all the stuff, good or bad or all that. So, so drama surrounding personal business partnership, or in general, maybe how you greet the outside world or the public might go through like a whole metamorphosis or transformation. Particularly looking at middle of May to end of July, because that's when Jupiter will be briefly moving into first few degrees of Pisces and going back. So when Jupiter goes into Pisces and Saturn still stay in Aquarius, by sign they activate Scorpio.
Okay, Saturn will square it and Jupiter will trine it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Lada. So, so for that 10 weeks, but otherwise, for the rest of
Vedic astrology also says that when Saturn and Jupiter both activate a sign, and Jupiter only activates with its trine aspect or conjunction, Saturn with its backward square or conjunction. So they say the sign gets fulfilled. So I think basically those 2.5 months, this is when a lot of Taurus people might need a partner, business, personal, important such person, because it fulfills the promise of that house. So if the promise of that house is to meet a mass murderer who you marry, you will. The promise of your relationship house is to meet a partner, get married, have children, but you meet someone who is, who is meant for you, business or personal partner.
It could be someone very wealthy because that person traps wealth, or if it's an existing one, it can go through crisis of sorts and things will never be the same again. There's another meaning of that. So I gotta think about the full spectrum of Scorpio. It can be good, it can be bad, but depending what, for you guys, Taurus rising, what planets do you have in the sign of Scorpio in the seventh house? Because I got a close friend that's got 6 planets stellium in Scorpio. And she's Taurus rising. So I'm speaking to you if you're watching this video. So it's a very busy period. And the more kind of disruptive planets like Uranus here in the 7th house, and when this part of the chart gets triggered for those 10 weeks from middle of May to end of July, there will be something going on.
So that's when there is the most action in your relationships, guys.
Yes.
Taurus, especially
yes. And for the rest of the year, when Jupiter and Saturn, like here, are both in Aquarius, it's going to trigger your 4th and 10th house. So it's really about, it's a parental axis, first of all, but it's also like career versus home. So maybe there's a juggling act here. Some of you may change career, it might affect your home life. For that matter, for the rest of the 2021 minus those 10 weeks.
Yeah. Big
shift in
career, and it can affect directly the family life and where you live, place of living. And your life goals would be the 10th house as well. Where to overall your life goals, I think it can be life for Taurus is life changing this year.
Yeah. And not forgetting that if you just bring yourself back to January in the beginning of this discussion, Mars is also here after it gets out of Aries after a long time. And so this square will be like in their first and 10th, and this will occur in the bulk of January 2021. So I really feel that January is really you start off with a bang.
So Taurus is for sure. It's like directly affects career, social status, and they initiate something with Mars in the first house. Like it's not just, it's a lot of them can change career, start big projects in their career or life goals of some sort. It might be stressful as well because the aspects are stressful. I'm not necessarily that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and on a smaller scale, it might not be a complete change in career direction. It could be changing departments within the company, or could be promoted to head a department, maybe.
Yeah.
To be in charge of it, or you yourself carving out your job scope.
Yeah, true.
You writing what you want, and just pitch it to the boss. I want this, and no compromise.
Yeah.
And this will come back because Mars will be in Leo, like I think in April.
Yeah.
So this one will really trigger a lot of stuff in your first, fourth, and 10th. So these 2 months for Taurus rising is even more important. Besides, of course, like, middle of May to end of July of 2021. Not forgetting, we have the regular Mercury retrograde, but this time, thank God, it's not in water signs anymore. It's in air signs from 2021 onwards to 2022. And this is happening in your houses of substance or earth houses 2nd, 6th, and 10th. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of going back to the drawing board and really looking at, really diversifying their income to really get more coins, in which Taurus loves. May have to compromise in the in terms of with people in your co-workers, maybe, the 6th house Libra, or balancing more of your health, taking care of your health, because Libra also rules kidneys. So could be some kind of kidney stuff that you have to really look at if something flares up. But Mercury retrograde will start off with being stationed retrograde in the sign of Aquarius in your 10th house. So very much that career, January to February, is very much that.
Yeah.
Then when
working, fixing something in your career or doing, yeah.
Then the next Mercury retrograde will be conjunct Rahu in the sign of Gemini in your natal 2nd house, whole sign house. So there'll be a lot of activities trying to diversify your income source, make it dual, or just kind of like just make it more like versatile.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, when Mercury goes retrograde in Libra towards like end of the year, and that's where the Saturn-Uranus square actually dissipates on Christmas Eve, finally. Like it's almost like I think when Gemini goes retrograde in Libra will be when the Saturn-Uranus square is not that close.
It's the Mercury. Yeah, I think it's October. Sometime in October, the retrograde, yeah.
So at this point, you may want to look at balancing all the craziness that's happened to you. From starting off January, then April, then like May to late July, and then like when Mercury goes retrograde in Libra, it's time for you to really take care of your health because it can be quite stressful, honestly.
Yeah. I think Taurus will be one of the signs that have the biggest changes this year in their life, and especially the early born Tauruses, the first 15 degrees. That's where the action is. So because they're born first 10 days of June. Yeah.
And it's really about that Uranus transiting in their first house that's really like asking them to get out of that rut. But having said that, Uranus in a fixed sign, it may still take some time for them to kind of commit to that radical change. It may take like 6 to 9 months, maybe later than most, because it's in its opposite sign of exaltation. So it's a bit slow in terms of change, but they will get there.
Yes.
They will get there. They will
What?
get there.
Just
So
uh, but yeah, and
they
it
will
seems
get
like
there.
they're
But
making.
because
Oh, sorry.
yeah, because they will get there because Taurus like to take their time, and they don't like to be rushed. And all that. I'm speaking from my moon's perspective. So what else can I say about
It seems there is a
Taurus?
lot about work, money, career that they focus with those Mercury retrogrades, with Jupiter, Saturn in the 10th type of thing.
Yeah, and not forgetting eclipses, which I love. I want to just tell people that the solar eclipses in 2021, overall, I forgot to mention this when I did the video with Victor, that both solar eclipses in 2021 are actually having quite positive impacts on people.
Oh, wonderful.
They do. And I'm going to read to you their meanings. I think the first one will be on 10th of June of 2021.
Yeah.
And it will be in the sign of Gemini. And this one is because it belongs um, to the family of eclipses, what we call a Saros series or Saros cycle. And this one is really about, it involves sudden flashes of ideas that seem to have a psychic or unconscious flavor to them, hunches, visions, prophetic dreams are the essence of this family of eclipses, which will happen on June 10th of 2021.
So for Taurus, these prophetic dreams and sudden insights will be in the area of finances, resources, security for their family. Some brilliant ideas can come to you guys around these eclipses.
And it's a truly creative series which should leave you enriched, which Taurus love, being enriched. The ideas and hunches which come from this eclipse can be acted upon. So if there's any money making or stuff that kind of like, when I see Gemini as well, probably it's time to rearrange your possessions as well.
Yes.
Move them around, It could be a bit of like making the space more airy. It could be as minute as that. It could be just a second source of income might come to you as inspiration over this time.
Do some feng shui and more money will come to you.
And
move something around here.
And last but not least, there's also a solar eclipse that will be on the 4th of December. And this will happen for Taurus rising, it will be in the 8th house. And so for this family of solar eclipses, it's actually a very joyful, happy family of eclipses when we talk about the one in December of 2021. There's a sense of good news, even falling in love. A peak experience that is joyful in some way. And the benefits that appear in your life under this eclipse series can be expected to continue well after the eclipse has passed.
Oh.
So this one really talks about, for Taurus rising, it will be intimate relationships. And because, for Taurus rising, the 8th house is also the house of crisis. But for them, it starts in the signs of Sagittarius. In order for them to kind of evolve into the higher mind, you have to go through crisis to kind of be closer to God, sad to say. But this eclipse, I think it will be one that will be pretty positive, because when I see South Node solar eclipses, it can also be unblocking something that has been blocked for the longest time ever.
Yes.
It doesn't only excrete, FYI, it also can unblock something that has been blocked up to then.
So that's kind of some traumas and intimacy issues and the trusting of others and things that I have heard them in the past. This is eighth house that unblocks your intimate life and ability to share with another in a deep, meaningful way.
And then from this eclipse, sorry, in December of 2021, maybe your attitude towards transformation takes on a more spiritual, high-minded perspective. Sexual intimacy can be expanded. Perhaps you also expand your psychological transparency and honesty over this period. Intimate bonding can become much better. And South Node solar eclipse can bring someone probably karmically linked or fated as well in terms of connections. Besides, of course, the obvious, like other people's money and resources. But then, just Taurus rising people, in short, in summary, you need to derut, but you know what? There's a pot at the other side of the rainbow for you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Donny, good summary. You need to do that.
Oh no, when you say get it fast, all the thoughts just kind of like go past me like a machine gun. So, yeah.
Oh, sorry, because I have to go pick up kids from daycare. 444.
Sure.
We're ending this video when it's 444. So Taurus, that's a good sign.
444 at the end, numerology 3, Trinity.
Trinity, yeah.
Trinity, the Father, was it the Father, the Soul, the Holy Spirit? Was it the Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Son, or something like that?
But also 4 has a practical nature to it as a number. So I think they'll sort out a lot of practical material issues they might have connected to tangible things in their life as well. So
it's rough when the year starts, but at the end, really, it's really about re-examining your ascendant's nature to hang on for dear life to things that's way past its expiration date. I even have to tell that myself. Yeah.
Thank you. That's
after that you become Scorpio, so you become wiser, hopefully. Become a magi, yeah, like that transform person.
The magician. Magi.
Yeah. Magi, yeah, or magi, depending how you say it. But yeah, I think that's really like I try to summarize for Taurus rising like succulently or concisely what the key months are for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Donny.
Last but not least, I think I just want to quickly just point out something. Venus will go retrograde close to the new year of 2022. I think it's end of very close to Christmas. It will go retrograde in Capricorn.
Yeah.
And this one will conjunct Pluto in transit in their 9th house. So it's really about re-examining your belief system that's outdated for Taurus rising. Maybe it's passed down by their parents, maybe it's passed down by conditioning of society, and it's time to, at the end of 2021, kind of when Venus conjunct Pluto in your 9th house for Taurus rising, it's really about really transforming those and really move forward. Because the 9th house is really where we are at and use that to be in the world as the Aquarius for Taurus rising. It's their 10th house. To be new, to really move forward. Because they're stuck in their belief systems.
Thank you, Donny. That was very in-depth, and I loved also your presentation for the whole year ahead. Very different approach, very interesting information.
Like always, like
that people, if anyone would like a personal reading with Donny, you can check out the link below, the description of maybe, I think there might be a promo for the year 2021. I think so, there is, yeah. And you can also check out Donny's previous interview and video together, which is fascinating. It's one of the best video we did this year about the Venus cycle. And he made amazing predictions for the future. I'll try and remember and put a link about it. He made amazing predictions about the future with it, just like you did this time. So thank you. Thank you, Tauruses, and all the rest of you that joined us. I hope more people than just Taurus are watching this. because the intro was so powerful. Thank you.
Right. Bye for now.